Hello and welcome. Welcome back, actually, to our last episode of this Saturn Return series we're doing here on YouTube in celebration of you all and our new book, Almost 30, A Definitive Guide to a Life of Love for the Next Decade and Beyond. Thank you so much for pre-ordering the book. It means the world. But today we're going to be digging into our last Saturn Return story that just...
I'm excited.
These have not disappointed.
Yeah, honestly. we perused them before. We didn't fully look at them before, so I was at every turn. And then there was a lot that we didn't share because too many trigger warnings.
I know.
People going through
it. Yeah, this is not for the faint of heart, this period of your life.
I think it's a natural part of the evolutionary process to have more awareness of people and their experiences, but wow, I can't believe what humans go through, what people go through. It's so crazy. So the Saturn return period is that transformative period in your life in your late 20s, usually between 27 and 30. It can be some of the most pivotal and biggest transformations. It's when your prefrontal cortex is coming online. You're usually stepping into consciousness, and there's a lot of change that happens. It's when Lindsey and I started the podcast. So wanted to kind of bring in the stories, and let's get into it.
Let's do it. My Saturn return was a doozy. 7th house in Capricorn, which is so much about personal relationships, professional relationships, kind of coming to the surface to be reevaluated. So I broke up with my boyfriend the week of my 28th birthday. Yes, that is on brand with this placement. It was my first...
Dumping, sis.
It was my first and only real relationship, and I was naive and had believed love was enough. It wasn't. And in retrospect, it wasn't actually love. Oof, that's a big one. I think this is a big realization in your late 20s where you think you know what love is. Love might be the big fireworks, the sparks, the highs and lows of the drama. That could feel like love, depending on what you grew up with, I think as well influences it. But
yeah, that's true.
To redefine what love really is, what it really means to you, I think was a big theme for me.
That's a good one, and thinking about that, my evolution with love, because my first love meant full immersion, enmeshment, me cellularly becoming him. And then in my recent relationship ending, I was like, oh, love is freedom and love is sovereignty. But it's still weird because for me, contextually, in my experience, that was love that I had then. And obviously it wasn't healthy, but it felt like love. I think that's why dating gets harder as you get older, because you're so sovereign and you're so in yourself. You're like, where am I gonna negotiate this sovereignty for a relationship? And what does love mean as two sovereign beings?
Yes, totally. A week later, my roommate told me she had assumed I was going to move in with the ex and found new roommates and wouldn't be re-signing our lease. The city I lived in was too expensive to live on my own, and at 28, I really didn't want to find strangers to live with, so I made the decision to move back in with my parents. Fast forward a few months, COVID hit. I was single, turning 30, working from home indefinitely, and living with my parents. I took a weekend trip with my brother to a city I'd never been to. Things were mostly closed, and I didn't even get a great feel for the city, but on the plane ride home, I felt such a soul pull. I had to move somewhere, anywhere.
Seduction.
I love how you guys tell stories. It's the best.
I know.
Well, long story short, a little over a month later, I moved to that city, just me and my dog. Dogs are along for the ride on all of these stories.
They're little soul passengers.
It's amazing.
I actually don't know if that's a quote from someone, but if someone hasn't said that animals are soul passengers, does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
They are soul passengers.
Yeah.
I want to write a book called Soul Passengers, and I want it to be about stories of animals.
Co-pilots with your...
No, for real.
Yeah.
They are truly, they facilitate healing and growth through different phases of your life. It's so important. They come in and out at the right time.
100%. Didn't know a soul when she was there, so it was the best move of her life, though. So fast forward a bit more. I was 31, dating intentionally, and had done a lot of work to manifest my partner. I met my husband 6 months after making the move, and this last
Valentine's?
I don't know. This last, let's say, year, we welcomed our daughter. At the time, it was brutal. Looking back, I am so glad for every difficult chapter because it was all meant to lead me exactly where I am today.
Dating intentionally, she said. Dating intentionally.
What does that mean to you?
Dating intentionally, well, I would say in this moment I'm dating intentionally, but my intention isn't to marry. So I think your intention is just awareness, conscious awareness and goals, conscious awareness of your goals at the time in the moment. But I do think there is a different frequency when you're dating intentionally to find your person or get married. And I think that's just a different energy.
Yeah. And I also think I mean, we talked about setting intentions. We talk about it a lot, but it does just send this like bat signal.
Yeah.
It's like, and then cellularly you align, like your mind kind of gets on the same page, because the mind can be over here, the heart's over here. Intentions help to kind of like bring everybody to the huddle and really kind of, I think I started to attract, when I was very clear about what I wanted, I started to attract that type of person. They didn't look like what I expected or wanted as it got closer. Yeah. But that was kind of a part of my learning too. Yeah. Is that it's not going to be the package that you imagine in a lot of different ways, not just looks, but maybe like they come from a family that looks like this or does this, or whatever, you know, it's.
Yeah, very real. I think that's the shedding, and I think in your Saturn return, I think you do have an idea of what your life is gonna look like from programming, and I think when I went in, I was like, oh, I'm 28, I'm gonna be married. 30, I'll have 2 kids, you know, or maybe 20, no, I said 26 married, 26 engaged, 28, you know, whatever. You just have all these ideas of like the things that you're gonna do, and it's weird to think that your life is even better when the things don't happen. Yeah. Because at that point in time, you're like, no, if these don't happen, I'm gonna be so sad. But it's like, no, actually, life is so much better when things don't happen in the way you wanted.
Yeah, the realm of possibility opens up. That was it. That was so good.
Yeah, I loved it. I do think it's good she followed her soul calling. I've noticed this with friends and with clients. Like sometimes there's like a purposeful dark period in life where you're just like grounded. You're just living at home. You're single.
Oh, yeah.
You're at this, you know what I mean? And it's just like, there's nothing. What is this like void? What is this period? And it is so painful when you're someone that's so growth obsessed or desires more for your life to be in a void period, to be in a dark period, and to be in the unknown period. Oh my gosh. But then when you can have those periods, then you listen to the voice of the call to move or whatever, and it's so clear. Because you've been honoring the void, you're like, no, there's like quiet, I'm honoring the void. So when the voice does come in, it's truth. Yes. Of her needing to move, of her needing, and then she got everything she wanted.
And I think when you know, this has been a theme too of people moving back in with their parents, I feel like happens a lot. Yeah. I actually think there's a few things that could be happening that you could, you know, become more aware of, which is like, maybe it is the system update within your familial relationships that needs to happen, which is, you know, hard. It's not easy, but I think is very important. It could be the slowing down, the not doing the most. It could be the reevaluation of what you've been pursuing. Yeah. Because oftentimes we're working towards expired dreams and we're wondering why we're just kind of running in circles. And I think that grounding period, it's almost like if you think about a plane and they're kind of in that holding pattern, it's like when you're grounded and then you're able to be like, okay, where are we going? Yeah. Like, what do we need? What fuel do we need? What kind of helps us to be our best? What lights us up? So yeah, I think it's...
Yes, plane metaphor.
Yeah, I know. I was like, let's plane.
I was like,
did I
No, that was a good
through?
one. That was a good
let's
metaphor.
Workshop that.
I really like that.
We'll repeat it in interviews, I'm sure.
Yeah, honestly. And mission control,
I know, and then mission
is
control
your soul.
Comes in. Yep.
That's your soul.
Yep. And then when the lights come on in the cabin, that's the brain.
Yeah.
But I think it's purposeful because it could feel like, oh, I'm like going backwards.
Yeah, it does. That's so true. When you go to those void periods and in the Saturn return, it can feel a lot like you're going backwards, especially to relationships. If you're breaking up with someone, it feels like you're going backwards. You break up with someone, but you're not. You're actually moving forwards because you're moving forwards towards something that's more aligned. So all the backwards is actually forward, which is very weird and very purposeful during that time. So I felt like that was such a beautiful one, and that she's in that relationship that she wants, has the daughter, all because she listened. And so the Saturn return period, if you're in it, would love to hear more about your process and your journey in the comments. We'd love to hear about, you know, your Phoenix rising story. We'd love to hear about this transformation that you've been in. You know, it's been such a powerful portal for us to bring us closer to the people that we want to be and the lives that we want to live. And I'm so grateful that I didn't give up.
Head over to our Instagram at Almost 30 Podcast. We're going to be voting on your favorite Saturn return story that we've shared during this series. So would love to hear from you.
Yeah, we'll be sharing more stories on our page. I want to find a way to share more of these stories because they're so powerful and just create kind of conversation around them. So if you guys have any ideas for that, let us know. But I hopefully want to share more on our page as well.
Comment below your favorite Saturn return story that we've shared.